I first started playing Runescape back in 2004. And when I played at the time, I was playing with my wife, and she said she got me to play the game. And I thought, this is a really good game, and it would be even better if I could just kill anybody anywhere. So a year later, I started working for Jagex, and this idea festered for the next 10 years or so, and finally we're in a position where we could launch Deadman mode, a PvP version of Runescape.
Deadman is old school RuneScape as you know it and love it, and the only difference is that when you die, you lose a lot of the progress that you've made, so a bunch of items and a bunch of stats, and also when you kill someone, you get a bunch of items from the person's bank. Not just the ones that they had on them, but their 10 most valuable stacks from their bank account as well.
Is he out? He's out. I think he's out. He's out, and he can't bank because of the 2-second timer, so GG. Straight on to the next target, onto the low levels, like I said before.
Massacring the
oh, the DDS
23-24.
Oh, he's down! Puts up pre-mage. No, he's not. He survived it. What the? How is that possible?
So the Deadman Invitational so far definitely ramped up a lot. We saw the first one in March, and that got a huge pull from the community. Everyone loved it, everyone tuned in, and it was a really big event. And since then we've tried to really step it up each time, and now we're having it culminate here at ESL at the end of the year, and we're even bringing a crowd here, which is excellent. We're hoping that the live audience will bring a bunch more energy to the game mode. So we've seen it one or two events where we've done it in front of a live audience, but never a self-contained event, never one where it's exclusively old school RuneScape players who we know are very, very passionate about the game.
I don't think you can call old school RuneScape an esport just yet, but it's certainly making that journey. The one thing that's unique about the game is that it's the first long session competitive game mode out there, and there's a huge appetite for it, as we can see by the amount of people who watch the finals.
We went up and we didn't know what to expect. You know, we didn't know whether we'd get almost laughed off stage for bringing RuneScape onto this esports stage. And we went up there and we filled the audience and we hit the record numbers for the stream. It was the most popular stream that occurred, and it was amazing. So we came out of it kind of going, wow, okay, so we have this big list of things that went wrong, and then how amazingly well it went. And so it evolves every single time. Not like there's been no two that have been the same, because every time we're learning. It's such a new thing to bring into like the esports environment that the developments made each time just keep it so refreshing and exciting.
The Deadman Invitational has changed quite a bit in 2016, as it isn't just changes we make to the final tournament, it's more the changes that we make to the seasons. Now the seasons have obviously the greatest impact on how the final hour goes, especially deciding on how players are going to prepare, what content they're going to run to immediately, what they're going to leave until the last minute, and how they're going to be set up for the final hours.
We've seen many smaller changes to the Deadman mode tournament over the course of the year, as well as the seasons themselves. The biggest change going into this invitational is definitely the closed off final area, which will ensure that the winner is someone who's fought for it, and it'll mean that people aren't getting away with straggling along the edges of the map and just sticking to the fog. They have to actually fight to win.
Preparing for the Deadman Invitationals, a lot of it was done with the very first one. Since then, it's kind of been like, well, we'll take that and then we'll work on it and make improvements every time, but it hasn't been nearly as stressful and difficult, especially working with ESL. It's always a breeze, so yeah, it's nice.
So this is the second time that ESL UK have worked on the Deadman Invitational tournament, and we are so excited to really step it up a gear for this tournament this season. Jagex have always brought such a good tournament format that it just really gives us so much creativity to push a really good broadcast at the end of the day. It was really key to us to make the studio here feel like something straight out of RuneScape. For example, downstairs we built the Blue Moon Inn, which is an inn that's present in the game world that the guys are playing in today. We wanted people, when they walk into the studio, to feel like they're coming into a very familiar environment straight from the game, which is super cool. I mean, you look around the studio, there's knights in shining armor, there's the bar fully stocked with some really good local alcohol, which is great, some nice kegs of ale. And we want people to feel at home when they come into the ESL studio in the UK here. We want to feel like they are stepping into the game world.
We have a great relationship with so many of our streamers, and when it gets to that final hour, and you're going to see this on stage tonight as well, you know, there are people that you've watched maybe for hundreds of hours in some cases, you know, like I say, we watch them at work, you know, we feel real connections to these people. And then when you see them get absolutely obliterated in 15 seconds, it's pretty funny.
I've been playing old school RuneScape since the day of release. I was live streaming at the time a different game, waiting for the countdown to happen, and as soon as the countdown happened, jumped straight on the game. I really like this venue. This venue is incredible. The stage looks incredible. Overall, I was very happy to be invited out to compete here as well, having just these awesome stages and these public events where they've invited viewers of our live streams where we can meet us and then just overall have a good time.
I have been playing old school RuneScape for a really long time. You wouldn't think so because I am very bad at it, but probably about 12 years now. I like the XP rate growth. I think it's amazing. It makes you feel like you're really good at the game, which is great because once again, I am awful. The nostalgia of the whole thing is brilliant. I love the simplistic graphics. It's got a great community, and because of the community I've built up as well, I love it.
I think the best thing about the Invitational this year is the fact that players can come together, that we all get a chance to talk to each other before the game starts, get to see it all in live with commentators in stage. I think it's just a really refreshing way to watch it rather than just on a stream.
I really like this one, how the players can get involved with the live audience. I think it's a really good idea and it really makes us involved.
I like that it's just really community driven. I don't think there's many other games out there which are driven by the community as much as old school is, and I think it's really worked to the game's benefit.
The main thing that keeps me coming back to RuneScape is the community. I find that it's really engaging. The team behind RuneScape and how they develop the game around what we want as players is the main thing, really. Other than that, and obviously the content itself is awesome.
So I think Deadman's been so successful, especially this year, because we started to involve the community a lot more. Obviously the game mode came as an idea from the community, which is pretty incredible, but we're also starting to take more and more suggestions from the community for improvements, changes we can make for the next season. We're involving the community with this tournament. We've got a live audience, which is incredible, and yeah, I think that's definitely the biggest factor.
The community are central to the game. They're the most important part of the game. If it wasn't for them, the game just wouldn't exist. So therefore, it makes absolute sense to listen to what they're saying, and we will continue doing that. It's the most important thing we do, and we will continue doing that forever.
My favourite thing about doing Deadman has to be just the last few moments before the conclusion of the tournament and the very, very start of the season as well, when you get to see everyone flood in, go absolutely nuts killing each other, and then the final conclusion where you see who's going to take home the 10,000.
My personal favorite thing about Deadman is that I never thought this would be imaginable for my job, for what I applied for at Jagex. I never thought I'd get to move into doing something so incredible, something I'm so passionate about and absolutely love. So it's just been an amazing experience, and I'm really grateful.
The best thing about working on the Deadman Invitational is just that Jagex and Runescape have brought a really new, interesting format to the table. If you look at competitive gaming at the moment, there's not really this idea of like long-form competitive gaming out there that lasts for a month and then turns into a great studio finals like we have today. I think that by just knowing what their audience wants to see and knowing how their game works, Jagex have just done exactly the right course of action to, at the end of it, pump out a really exciting tournament for everyone involved.
There's always polarizing things when it comes to Deadman because, of course, it's something that people feel so passionately about, especially with like a $10,000 prize. Like, there's real things at stake here, you know. It's easy to forget that even after all the fun and after all the chaos, somebody is walking away with $10,000. We're always listening to the community, we're always talking to people, learning from what we see and hear and like how we feel about the game ourselves, because of course we're enormously passionate about it.
We want to take old school RuneScape to as many places as possible when it comes to the esports environment. We certainly know that esports is very exciting, and we've seen from the Deadman stuff that there is a lot of interest in old school. So the next step for us is going to be taking it out to as many places as we can, getting it in front of as many people as we can, and seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work, and keep moving old school more and more into the esports arena. We've got 4 more invitationals to have in 2017. Plus there's a whole load of other things we want to try out, which we're not talking about just yet, but there should be lots of twists and turns along the way to keep players very excited in what Deadman mode and our other games can offer.